Zdravейте to our Chechi friends in Bulgaria and hello to everyone. This is our next tutorial in our series on web scraping using Python. I'm Scrappy and this is World Web Scraping. There we go. Hello and welcome to World Web Scraping. This is our next tutorial on web scraping using Python. Today we will talk about cookies and sessions, what cookies are, what sessions are, how to manage a session, and why do we need to know about cookies and sessions, how do we use cookies and sessions with request libraries in your Python. So we will see all of these things today, so let's get started. So cookies and sessions are two things that are used to track a user by the website. So whenever you log in or whenever you use the web page, website, so if you are in login, essentially the website creates a session for you and it will the session ID, and you are navigating through the number of pages on that website whenever you click on that URL, internal URL. So this website will match the session ID and it will identify that it is you, and it will keep continuing showing you the next pages. Then cookies are also a similar thing, but in a way cookies are not that secure, and cookies are also used for tracking, and a single cookie does not contain lots of data. It is 4 KB in size, it is a text file. So cookies are stored on the user system instead of storing on the session, are stored on the server, that particular web server, the website you are visiting, and the cookies are stored on the client side, that is on your systems. So that makes it unsafe, very unsafe, because a hacker can steal those cookies and also some website can steal those cookies. So that can happen. So cookies and sessions are basically to identify, to track your website activity, and when people usually try to avoid cookies because they want to avoid the tracking. So if you go to the site, you will see that many of the websites will mention that we use cookies to improve your engagement with the website and user experience, but many people get scared of that and they try to avoid cookies. And it is fairly easy to avoid cookies. You can clear the cookies and you can deny the browser from creating cookies, accepting and sending cookies. So that can be done, but this makes it difficult for the website to track you and your activity on the website. And if you do it a lot, and they can block you. So when you access a page through a browser, the concerned website will send you a cookie, and that cookie and your browser will accept that cookie and return it to the website. That's how the connection is maintained between your browser and your website. So if that cookie is not returned, then the website can block you because they expect that cookie to be returned to identify that it is you. So your browser has inbuilt capabilities to send those cookies. But when you use a Python web scraper, that is essentially a bot to do the scraping, and if you are using your library to send GET request, then you don't have the functionality to send a cookie. And if the site is adverse to the web scraping and they don't want their data to be scrapped, they can easily block you and your access. So we saw that in headers, we saw that how headers have necessary for some website to check actually it is a browser or not a bot. Similar way they can use cookies for that purpose. And if you have sent headers, still they can deny access to you because they need a cookie to verify. So that can be happen. So guys, a cookie is a small piece of text stored on a user's computer by their browser. So common use of cookie are authentication and storing site preferences and tracking. So if you see what the cookies in a general way, So if you see this like Gmail, if in your browser of your Gmail is always login, and whenever you click on Gmail, you don't need to log in again. So your user session is maintained. You don't have to log in again because there is a cookie that Gmail sends and that is stored in your browser. And so that cookie, when the Gmail receives and it identifies that it is you and it allows you to log in without login into allows you to check your inbox. Now if you don't have cookie, you clear all the cookies, open your browser, yes, you will not stay logged in into your system. And not only Gmail, any website that you use, and if you clean all the cookies right now from your browser, that all enter a history of cookies. If you cleaned right now, you will be logged out of all those websites, but we also will not be logging into a single one of them. So that's what happened with cookies. Now the cookies are highly unsafe. Somebody can hack into your system and they can steal the cookie and they can log into your Gmail account using that. Can be happen. So that's what cookies are for, and in a sense cookies are a great way of linking one page to the next of a user's interaction. So if you are visiting, say for example Amazon, in their multiple pages, so you are browsing on Amazon, if you are searching for example for shoes, and the 50,000 shoes Amazon has shown you, and you are going to one page to another, so how Amazon tracks that it is the same user and it takes you to the next page, that's where they use cookies. They have sent a cookie to your browser and received cookie back from the browser, and that's how they identify you, and they showed you next page. And a cookie is specific to a website. It cannot be used on another website. And if Amazon send you cookies, and then that cookies is specific to Amazon, and you cannot use this cookie on Flipkart or Walmart, something else. So that's about cookies. Next things are sessions. It is a similar thing to maintain user track, to track users' identity again, and they are stored on the server side, as I explained earlier. So whenever you log into a website, the web servers will create a session for you, and using that session ID, it will verify you every time you hit URL on that website. So a session creates a file in the temporary directory of the server where registers session variables and their values are stored. A session ends when the user closes the browser or leaves the site or log out, and something like that. So guys, now let's get to the coding part and see how we can manage these cookies and sessions. So in a session, when we will be using session in Python, we will be using to log into some pages. So why do we need to say if there is some data that you can see only after login into the page, then you cannot scrap that data. We'll get to that when we will study more about GET request and POST request. So we will get into that. So let's get back to cookies. So how do we get cookies? So to get HTTP cookies, we can use response.cookies property. So like in the previous session, we talk about headers. We use response.header, and we got the headers now if we use response.cookies, and then we will get the cookies that we are looking for. So those cookies are sent by the concerned web server. So here I'm importing request library, and I'm creating request object, and I'm assigning it back to response variable, and I'm trying to access this website, www.dev2qa.com. And I are using that get method here. So if I access this website, I will get a response. From that response, I'm trying to access the cookies. So I will call response.cookies, and let's see what happens here. So guys, you see this, we got a cookie jar. So cookie jar is something like that contains all of your cookies data, and these are all the cookies that then we got a response back from the web server. These are all the cookies that the web server sent us. Let me show you that short tracker on the website. So if you see headers, preview, response initiator, here you can see cookies. So these are all the kind of cookies that we get. So these are all the request cookies, and this is the response cookie that we get actually. So that's what happens. You check these cookies in the browser like that. So these are the cookies that we got from our website. Now to access these cookies, what I can do is I will write for loop, and in response.cookies we are our object, and from that what I'm trying to access is get the cookie domain, and then get cookie name, and then get cookie value. So I'm trying to access these three things. And I will run it to for loop, and I will get all of these values. So you see here, this is div2qa.com is my cookie domain. Cookie name is cfduyd, and this is the cookie value. So you see this text essentially, and that's what a cookie is, my text file. So there are multiple cookies like that. So that's what you see here. Also we had the same thing. So you can access cookies like that. Now send HTTP cookies to a web server. So why do we need to access the cookies? The one thing is that when we send a request from a web browser, when we click on the URL from a web browser, it will receive the cookies, and as long as we are on that website and we are clicking on some pages on there, it will keep handling those cookies. But when you do that in using Python, you will not send those cookies there, because either if you use sessions. If you use sessions, object will store the cookies internally and send back. If you are not using session, then if the website needs those cookies and block you, so you need to send them those cookies, and that way you can avoid getting a block. So to send a cookie, we can create the custom cookie. We don't need to send the cookie that we have received from the website as a response. They can send our custom cookies, and we can send that cookie. We can define a default cookie, and we can send that cookie with every request that we send to the web page. So this is my URL, and then again I'm creating a dictionary object. So you can create a cookie like that. You create a dictionary, so the cookies can be creating using that. You pass a name, and so this is my cookie I'm creating here. So it will be my key here is the name, and my value is Jerry, and the password is like my, again, another key 888. It is my other value, so that way I can create cookies. If you see here, that's how we have our cookies. Here we have a name, then we have a key, then we have a value. So that's what we have there. So we are creating in the same way. So now I have created my cookie, and what I'm doing is I'm again calling this request.toGet method, and I'm passing my URL, and this time I'm sending my custom made cookies, and I can do that. So these cookies are sent to the website, so we can do that now. Now to access this website, we can send the same cookie again and again, and that way the website can maintain, so I can know this is you who is doing this. Now there is another way to send cookies. We can send cookies using a request cookie jar. So cookies jar is like a jar of cookies. you can say that it is an object that contains a lot of cookies. So my URL is this again, and I'm creating a cookie jar. So to create a cookie jar object, what we do is we call request.cookies.requestCookieJar. So that on that request cookie jar we create our cookie jar. Now in cookie jar we can pass these keys there will be a cookie key, there will be a cookie value, then there will be a cookie domain and a cookie path. So my key is the name, my value is Jerry, my domain is div2qa.com, and my path is /cookies. So cookie is jar.set. .set method will set this cookie for us. Then again, I'm creating another cookie, and second cookie I'm creating the same way, .set, and this time my cookie key is the password. Value is Jerry 888 and the domain remains same. The path remains the same, so I have created two cookies here using cookiejar.set method. So now again I will send this cookie back, response request.get URL using request.toGet method. I am passing URL, and this time for cookies I am passing my cookie jar, and I will send this back to the website. So you can keep whenever you hit that website again and again, you can keep sending the same cookies. If I show you what we will get in the cookies jar, so what we will get is like this, and this is same. So what we get here, it is similar to that. Whatever we got above the cookies, and when we set the cookies using cookie jar, we get the similar values that we got above. So that's how it works. Now, so you can do that. You can create your custom cookies, or you can do something like if a site allows you to the first time to hit their web server using Python, then you can grab their cookies and you use those cookies. You assign those cookies to some variable, and then you pass these cookies back again and again when you are hitting that website again and again. So it can happen one time, they may allow you, but if you are in a showtime period, you are hitting their website like 100th of time, then the site will get suspicious at a time because a human cannot do this. So the site will get suspicious and it will try to catch you by using these techniques. They will try to check your cookies, and if you are not sending cookies, then they can block you. So what you can do is first you hit the website, you get there, you get the cookies by using response.cookies, and you assign that back to a variable, and then next time when you are hitting that website 100th of time, you keep sending those cookies and you can avoid getting a block. And another thing that you can do is, instead of if a site does not allow you to enter their website without using cookies first instance itself, then what you can do is you can go to this website and you can grab those cookies from there like I showed you here. Then you can go here, cookies, and you can grab all of these cookies and you can create the cookies like I created using dictionary or cookie jar. You can use a dictionary because if we have the key and value, I will show you what are the keys. So these are the keys and these are the value. So you can do that instead of this. So you create a dictionary like this, passing all of those keys and values, and you pass this cookie is back to the website. That way they will know that it is a browser, it is not a bot, and you can avoid getting a block. Now the session is one another important thing in request library. So we can create a session like this. We can call .request library. On the request we get a request.session object, and it will give us the request.session and .sessions object. So session module will give us the session object. So if I run the cell, so what I get is request.session object. So I created a session here, and using request.session method I used, and I'm printing session here, so I got the session here. So I'm assigning it back to a session. So now I can use in the session what property session has. It stores all of your cookies and it store all of your headers, and so that way if you access sessions, so there is better chances that you will not get blocked or something. Also, object comes handy when you want to log in into a website, and so at the time session is required because you have to maintain the state of logged in. You don't want to log out and then log in again. So to maintain that state when you are sending multiple requests to that web page, to maintain that state you need to be logged in, and you need to use a session object, so that session object keep you logged in. And we will see how to log in into a website into our upcoming tutorial, and we will talk about getting and post request. So here I'm created a session module and it will return me a session object. So it provides a lot of attributes and methods for us to access the web page by URL headers, cookies, values in the same session. So it will store all of those values and will not have to worry about it. So I created a session here. So let's get the header of this session. If run, so this is what I get, user agent Python request. So this is what session header I got. Let's check the cookies, and I got a cookie jar here. So now use this session object to access a web page by URL. So what I'm doing, I have created a session object earlier on the session object itself. Instead of writing here request get, I can write session.get. So that means that I'm working using the session that I have created earlier, and so using that session what I'm doing is I'm sending a get request to my website and I'm trying to get the session cookies. So these are the cookies that we got back. They are similar to earlier, like what we got, and we can do that. We can, instead of writing a request.get, here we can write session.get, and it will maintain our session and it will store all of our cookies and everything, and we don't need to worry about it. Now let's try to print session headers again. For this, we see session header here. Let's now try to see session header again and put it here. And so these we can see here, right? This is our session headers. And now we can add custom headers for our session that we have learned in our HTTP headers tutorial, that we can set custom headers. So we can do that in our header in our session object also. What we need to do is with our URL, we can pass our headers that we have created here. So I'm creating a custom header here. Hello is my key and hello 888 is my value. And I'm passing that custom header to my website, so I can do that. We can create custom headers for that website, so we can do that, and the same way send our custom cookies here. Also, instead of sending headers with the headers, we can send our cookie also. So here we will write our cookies and we pass a value here of our cookies, and we can send those cookies back to the website. So we can work like that. So more use of headers we will see in our upcoming tutorial, when we will see a session in our upcoming tutorial, when we will talk about post and get request, and sessions will come very handy there when we will try to log in into a website and maintain that login. So that is all for today, my techie friends. If you like the video, please like and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video tutorial, and do not stop visiting our website. Leave your comments below and ask me any question you have. I will be happy to answer them. Link is given in the description of this video to get code and full material. Stay happy, stay safe, stay techy.